Forgive me, y'all. I know I'm more than an hour and 10 minutes behind. It was a video that I forgot to upload to where I can have it saved, since so many people are talking about receipts with God and serious stuff. Even though I sometimes have problem with finding out which video, so I'm gonna start with a little book, a little notebook, where certain things have been said to me. I can have a little note by and put the date by what the video is. I'm gonna start that. Even though I said what I said earlier about me just gonna get on here and start just going at it, I realized that my emotions was so built up uh, because of what happened as I was going in the store and coming out of the store, and then things that have been revealed to me. So forgive me for coming all the way deep from out of my emotions, because when I was going into the store, first I rode by the store. I was taking somebody and driving them off, and on the way back I was stopping by the store so I can take and get me some stuff to put on my salad. And it was coming to me, you're going there, they gonna hurt you and all this, because it was in Dearborn. The store was in Dearborn, and they gonna kill you and all this, that, and the other. And my mind is just to the point now where I know we all got to go here someday, and I reflect back on all the times when I was just straight up just stuck on stupid. I mean, really stuck on stupid. Thinking I was all that in a bag of chips, and I look back, and 99.9% of the time it wasn't me that saved me. It was God being there, and I know that He didn't give us a spirit of fear. Anyway, as I went in there, the attacks continued, but I realized that all the attacks that was coming up on me went from the people in the Arab store. It might have been someone in there that, recognized some of the videos I've been doing, some things I've been posting that might have been participating in it, but it wasn't everybody. There was like some outside entity or people that was trying to stir up something, and I noticed as I walked through there, even though I was picking up that, that, it was some that might be aware, or some of the things that I posted. I was also picking up while I was in there was a lot of people that just wanted to just come over here also and live and make a life, because they didn't want to be over there and the craziness where people were just killing one another. And as I was picking that up, I was also picking up the other side too, where, you had some there that, really felt like, this whole thing that's going on right now in Dearborn and other places, like, they hear and they hear on a mission. So it was like a good side and a flip side. I was picking up that it was, some of them really had that feeling in there, but down with America. And then I had a feeling where it was just like a yin and a yang thing going on there. And as I walked up out of the store, just had that feeling that, a lot of them that was in there, even though my emotions was riding high, even though because I come out of my emotions riding high because I had been in there fighting when I was going through the store. My emotions riding, I was looking around and said, look at all this stuff that these people own, and how my ancestors were beaten, whipped, and had to go through all they had to go through, and here it is. We just took and gave it to somebody else. And then doing around and you got to talking to me, and I got to looking around and saying, okay, this continue, ain't gonna be nothing left for my nieces, my nephews, or maybe even my grandkids. So my mind got to thinking like that, got to dealing with my feelings, and even though my feelings wasn't the wrong way to be thinking, they was on high. And I know that's something that you have to be careful with. And I wasn't careful with it, because like I said, when I come up out of there, you probably could have put a block of dry ice on my head. It was just one of those type of scenarios, because I was thinking about that. then I was thinking about what was going on in the church right now today, and how it's just the same old thing with these men and women of God. And then, it's somebody that I really, really was fond of when I first got started with this, and that was the young brother, Prophet Carn. People say stuff, and I fought for years. You know what I mean? Years. I don't care what nobody say. He was called, and I still feel that way. That he was called by God. He truly had a gift, but I have to come to realize when you get certain signs and certain things come to talking about you, that it's what I seen might not be that no more at all. I'm hoping, that one of these Eli's that he do respect and step up and say no, but not saying it. So I'm understanding why the thing with me and the story of Eli is the way that it is. Even the other day, what God was revealing to me about it, I went back and read chapter 1 and 2, and I said, okay, I ain't even got to read chapter 3 because the way that chapter 1 and 2 want to just hollering at me. But anyway, make a long story short, I'm going to say a quick little prayer. Thank you, mighty God, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, for giving me another opportunity to even get on here and to speak, to have just a little bit of understanding, a little bit of knowledge of your word, be conscious a little bit more than what I was. And this pains me. This hurt me. Because how I feel about young Prophet Carn. How I've prayed for him in the past. How I felt, how he was called. What I experienced when he came around there for the 2 nights in the church and back of me. Came there for 2 nights and just turned it all out. Seen angels come in the church. Seen the Holy Spirit itself move in the church. So, it pains me to even get on here and have to think in the way that I do. And I can't say that you had me to get on here to say anything. That would be wrong for me to do that. But when I heard this that he did on New Year's Eve with the sold the $600 seed, all the scriptures that I'm getting ready to use now begin to speak to me. So even though I didn't hear an audible voice from you or hear you to speak to me in a low whispering voice, your word began to speak to me. You know how I feel about him. And if I'm wrong, then I don't expect for you not to deal with me. Because I believe any man or woman of God that another man or woman of God is speaking wrongly about, I expect for you to deal with him. I expect for you to judge him. Even those that do wrong to me, or those that I may do wrong to. That's only right because you're a righteous God. But I'm asking, Lord, if this is you, that scripture speaking to me, this moving, that you give the people an ear to hear what's being said by your word. By your word. Even though I'm speaking it, it's your word. If the feeling that I got, this overwhelming feeling that I got about this, is like the feeling that I got about Bishop Bloomer and Jamal Bryant when it happened with that $47 seed, and it ended up being shown that it's a money thing with them, because we can see that right now and what's going on, with Jamal Bryant and other stuff. If it's one of them incidents, then let them hear. What's getting ready to come our way. It, Lord. And I love my nieces and my nephews. I don't know how to get them to come together and to really listen, to really, really start preparing. I got one nephew, Jacob, he's on the ball. Got to hustle with him. Remind me of how I used to be when I used to feel that, I can get out there and make it happen just like anybody else. And I see him doing it, but you also know that I'm aware of something else that's going on there too. And I know we don't have a whole bunch of time, so I'm asking you, that help me to find a way to take a minister to them. And if one of them get this message, let them be able to hear it and discern it and be able to see what's going on. And I'm asking you this too, Lord. In the mighty name of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, and as I ask all this, I ask you to bring back in the churches some of the ways that it used to be because we know that all the ways weren't good, but the way that it used to be in the church, I remember when I was little, and we, at the church service, we would go down in the basement, they would pass out chips, and sometimes have cookies and stuff like that. And sometimes we would have food because it was a kitchen down there. We would sit down and eat, and we would fellowship a little sometimes after that. That's missing in the church. It's gone. So people coming in, and they're going out, they're coming in and going out, and they're coming in the same way and going back out the same way. Just like a revolving door with no touch of love or community. And I see that so strong with the Arabs. And I believe that's why we're in the situation that we're in right now. Because we don't have that. We don't work together. We don't stick together. And then the place that's supposed to have the most foundation in it, the church is turned over to the spirit of greed. And those in there have sold their souls and continue to sell their souls. I see the spirit of pride. Even right now as I'm speaking, if I'm being prideful, then I expect for you to deal with me. I expect for you to do it. And if it's someone else, I expect for you to deal with them. But we're losing so many souls, Lord. So many souls. You know, as I was riding and just thinking about it, so caught up in emotions that my eyes got a little watery, but the tears won't come down. It's like something in me just won't let me cry over this no more. Something in me is just like, you know, this thing got hard. And I don't like it. And I believe that's where the church is right now. You know, where the heart to cry about things and move forth on things together. It's just not there. Everybody done got hard. Too hard to hear what you're saying. Hearts are hard, as the word so often says. Help us. Help us. Touch us, Lord. You're the only one that can touch the hardness of our heart. And the free was there. You're the only one. You did it for me, so I know you can do it for anyone. It's sad anytime that you can lose a young Samuel like that brother, Prophet Brian Carn, young Samuel, because the Eli's have went to sleep completely on their watch, or either on their watches participating in the wicked and evilness. Strong. And I don't know what else to say. You know how I feel about him. And you know how I've said for so many years that I know you called him, you know, and that I wish he would get away from the people that was around that was having them take and do certain things. You know, I prayed many times, you know, for him, and stuck up and all the rest of that. But what I sensed and picked up when I heard that video that was posted, I can no longer do it, Lord. And I know they're going to talk about me. Look at him. He ain't got pot to piss in, a car to drive, or nothing. And they right. But I know just like that, you can make it happen. And I know that souls are more important than any of that to you. And you will touch me where it's important to me. And I'm asking you from the bottom of what's left in my heart to hear this prayer, to touch their ears so they can hear what it is that you're saying, so we can be prepared. And I realize I have no reason or no right to be mad at the Arabs, because you warned us. You warned us that they would come. You warned us, and you still warn us. But we got to listen. We got to be willing to receive, to hear, to be guided. Help us in the mighty name of our Lord and Savior, Yeshua, Jesus Christ. And that's what I asked this. And I said, hallelujah. All right. I'm hoping that I can do all this in one video. So what I want to do is say that the video that I seen come from Global Impact. Young brothers on, I forgot the young brother's name, but a video was posted from Global Impact. New Year's Eve, Prophet Brian Carn, $600 seed. Okay. When I heard that and went to listening to that, I automatically got took back to that with Noah.
Bernie?
Yeah.
That car going off.
That's Satan. Hit the button, ain't he? The car going off now and I'm doing the video, y'all. Car going off all of a sudden, y'all. Anyway, and this right here, this to the car going off away, that ought to say something to y'all. See how the devil works? Wanted me to stop doing it. I've been trying to do this video for the last, 3 hours now? For the last 3 hours now. They've been threatening me in the spirit and everything else. Like I said, it just come a time when you just, have to realize we all got to leave here. Am I ready to go? No. But I think about how I ran around in the streets in the way that I did. Think about how I was stuck on stupid when I had a parole in my pocket, standing there with a shank on my sleeve. All that kind of crazy stuff, man. I can go on and on. It was things I had even forgot that's been kind of brought to my memory lately. So again, I'm going to say this again. I was told about a $600 seed. He spoke about a $600 seed. So when he spoke about that, I was listening, I was like, wow. Days of Noah. So that ended up taking me to me wanting to go and look in Genesis, in the book of Genesis. And the way that I did it, I went automatically to Noah, which is in chapter 5, verse 32. Automatically end up going straight to Noah. So, and it says right here, because we need to pay attention to this. It says right here in Noah, in Genesis chapter 5, verse 32. And Noah was 500 years old. And Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. It says, it's real important, Noah was 500 years old. Now we finna get ready to go to chapter 7 of Genesis, verse 6. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. Okay? It was 100 years from the time Noah was mentioned to the flood come up on the earth. Okay? We got the 600. Okay? Here it is. We got this $600 seed. Noah was 600 years old when the flood come up on the earth. Warning. This coming into the new year. Okay? Warning. Here it is. Something that was put out there as you take and do this and God gonna do this was actually a warning. He said that God told him this according to this video. You know what I mean? So I need y'all to really, 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 really get this. Please ask God for discernment on this. Okay? 600 years old when the floods hit the earth. What happened? Destruction came in that 600 year. Now let's go back. Because he went from a $600 seed. He went from a $600 seed to a $60 seed. What's the 60th verse in the Bible? The 60th verse of the Bible It's Genesis 3 and 4. Now I would know that the 56th verse of the Bible is Genesis chapter 2, verse 25, when and it says right here, and they were both naked, and the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. There was no sin had been committed, nothing. That's the 56th verse. Come down 4 verses. Now watch this. 4 verses, watch this. 4 verse. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Now, what was the serpent trying to do? Get Adam and Eve to do something that God told Adam not to do, not Eve. So we got to get this right. But he went through the back door and went to the woman. He backdoored everything. What's going on right here? A backdoor thing. You do this and God do that. Where in the Bible where God was telling people to constantly do this and he was going to do that in that way with money? Where is there any places in here where it speaks about if you take and give? Yes, seed time and harvest. It's mentioned from the beginning, take and sow, and they take and they use that, they abuse it. There's nothing wrong with sowing, y'all. Just I need y'all to pay attention to the way that it's being done. That's what's wrong about it. That's what's wrong about it. The way that it's being done. Now, he said that God told him to tell y'all, according to that video, you know what I mean? You know, that God had been talking to him about this and this, that, and that. Okay. Now, I'm saying the scriptures talking to me in this way. These are the scriptures talking to me. $600, 600 years later, the flood came. Oh, on the 600 year, the flood came. The $60 seed, the 60th verse in the Bible, here it is. Satan said, the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. What did he do? He backdoored and went to talk to the woman and saying something to the woman that God ain't saying. God didn't say. God let it be known the day that you eat of, told Adam you will surely die the day that you eat of. He told Adam that. He told that to her. He backdoored and went to the woman, which God didn't tell the woman that. He told Adam. So he took and he backdoored. Where in here, in the Bible, because we know even when he was taking and building a new temple in Chronicles or King, where that was, that the people gave freely from the heart. We know in here that God had certain people to bless Abraham and Isaac and Jacob because of certain things. We know that. We know that the Bible speaks about taking and sowing in seed and reaping a harvest. We know Jesus speak about the 30, 60, 100-fold blessing. We know that. We know that. But where in the Bible, where you constantly hear that God can only do these things when you take and you give something that's really founded on lust if you don't understand it. It's a lot of lust tied to money. When you don't understand that money is meant for you to take and be able to do things, not just for yourself and your family, but basically for God. Everything that's established is got to do with family and God. He never did say that we can't have a mansion here on earth. He never said that we can't have fancy cars, none of that. David, look at the stuff that they had. So I'm not knocking none of that. But where in the Bible, okay, was just kind of going. We know that when they went up to Shiloh, that they offering, they gave birds, pigeons, and stuff. That's like sowing seed. We know that. Gave it to the priests. We know this. We know this. We know sometimes they had set things that you had to offer. Those set things might cost certain things. We know this. So why did Jesus go in there and flip over the table in there with the money changer and said that his father's house should be called a house of prayer? I think this is in Mark 11. See, Mark 11 verse 15, if I'm not mistaken. Mark 11 chapter 15, I believe it is. I mean, Mark chapter 11 verse 15. It says, and they came and they come to Jerusalem, and Jesus went into the temple and began to cast out them that sold and brought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money exchangers and the seated of them that sold doves. Those that was in there selling and bargaining and stuff. He went in and overturned the table. So let's get back to this. $600 seed. I took y'all to Genesis chapter 5, verse 32, showing when Noah was 500 years old. And then when the flood came out, I took you to Genesis chapter 7, verse 6. Very important. Need to get it. Verse 6, very important. Very important. Y'all need to get this. In verse 6, it speaks about 600 years. Okay? In verse 6. So here it is, $600 seed. That's how it's speaking to me. So it's a warning in there in that greed. That lust. It's a warning in there. Here it is. Went from 600 to 60. 60th verse in the Bible is Genesis chapter 3, verse 4. Read it one more time. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Another voice speaking other than God. Because God told Adam, the head, the day you eat of, you surely shall die. Okay? 60th verse. And then we got in there to 600. Okay, let's go to Revelations. And then we're going to come back to Genesis. Because I'm getting ready to show y'all something. Getting ready to show y'all the 666 in this. And how it repeats itself more than once. And then I'm going to show you the 4 sixes. Which is going to take us to Matthew chapter 24. And I might have to take and do that later. But Revelations. Okay, I already got it. Revelations chapter 13. Revelations chapter 13, verse 18. Now, before I read Revelations chapter 13, verse 18, I want to read y'all what come to me earlier today. 1/1/2026, 5:20 p.m. Now, for y'all to understand why I was so late today getting off into my thing, I didn't go to bed at 4 o'clock this morning. I slept at 3:30 today. Okay? I couldn't get up. Something wouldn't let me get up. I could not get up. Just exhausted and tired. And usually when I be like that, it's because something going on in the spirit realm that I'm picking up that I can't pray on or need to be praying on that I haven't done it. Now I found out they had something happen over there where a whole bunch of people got killed, and I keep on smelling death in the spirit realm. I keep on receiving that there is somewhere where death is, where it's going to be a whole lot of bodies that are going to be found. You can smell the stench of it. But anyway, here he is. Here he is. This was coming to me earlier today. Around 5:20 p.m. This come to me. The angel that usually carries. I should have wrote that. I saw the angel, but I got right here. The angel that usually carries the scroll with him gave me this message. To start back reading Genesis chapter 4, verse 6 to 10. But verse 6 to 8 was still the main focus. I was told I will come to understand soon. This was one of the angels that I used to trust, but But in the last few years, the things, the thing that he would say to me hadn't come to pass, so I started to have doubts. But the angel showed up today and told me to start back again. I was told last year that I was going to be pointed back to it again. That wasn't the end of it when I was told to only read it for a certain period of time. Okay? I told after I got through reading this, all kinds of stuff started coming to me. All kinds of stuff. But anyway, here it is. This happened earlier today. And then as I'm out and about, after I watched this video, because I ended up watching this video with this with Prophet Brian Carn when I was getting ready to go out and about. And it just like, and it just went to bother me. And even as I was leaving up out of the house, I was like, I watch this later. Now watch this. Watch Revelations chapter 13, verse 18. Watch this. Watch how this speaks. Watch how this speaks, man. I'm going to read it from this one, then I'm going to go to this because I got the stuff done in this Bible. Okay, it says right here. I counsel, okay. No, that's chapter 3. Okay. Chapter 13, verse 18. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Look what it says. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the numbers of the beasts, for it is the number of man. For it is the number of man. Watch this. And the number is 600, 6. 6. So you get to 600, you get to 60, and then you get to 6. And you get to 6. Now I'm getting ready to show you this. Okay? We're going to take it and we're going to go backwards with this with Noah. Remember Noah, chapter 7? In Genesis, verse 6, it speaks about the 600, right? Right? I showed y'all that. Go and read it. Genesis, chapter 7, verse 6. Go and read it. Then go to Genesis, chapter 3, verse 4. Here it is. The 60th verse, the serpent is speaking to the woman. And then, when you go to Genesis chapter 3, verse 6, here you go. 6. Look how they did it. Going backwards, the 600, then the 60th verse. Then when we get down here to 3 and 6. 600, 6. Serpent did his thing by the 6th verse. Let's hear what the 6th verse said. For God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof. Okay, no, that's verse 5. Verse 6. I'm going to read verse 5 too. Verse 5. God doeth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, when your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. That was the truth. That's when it was really revealed to them. Before then, they didn't know. Okay? So here it is. He's speaking truth, but he taking it and he coming through the back door. He doing stuff wrong and crooked in a lustful way. To what? So he can have his way, so he can do his thing, so he can say, look, I told you that they weren't no good. Look, I told you. They'd do anything for that money. Okay, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, she saw, and that it was good to the eye, seeing it beautiful and good, and a tree to be desired, lust, to make one wise, lust. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. Desire. Catch that word. Let that word ring in your ear. Desire. So if you go backwards, you will see. The desire was the last one they mentioned. That's what rose up in her. And then in him. But if you take it and you go backwards, 600 years old, to the 60th verse, to the 6th verse, you get Revelations. Chapter 13. Verse 18. Charlie Kirk, he did what he did for 13 years. He started doing what he did at 18 years old. And he did it for 13 years old. And he lived for 31 years. Then he was killed. That chapter, that verse, got everything in it linked to him. Okay? When did he start? 18 years old. Verse 18. How many years did he do what he did? 13 years. Chapter 13. 31 words in that verse. It's come to me earlier today that this wasn't old with Charlie Kirk for me to start reading it. And again, greater exposure. A lot of other things going to be exposed. Early day, even before any of this happened. Now, we often say that we want a sign from God and we want to know certain things from God. Is God speaking or is our loved ones talking to us? I'm not telling you to communicate with them that's going on, but can God be using Charlie Kirk to speak to us right now? I'm just asking. Through his words. Through these verses, these chapters. Now, I know it didn't used to be no verses. I know it didn't used to be no chapter. I know all of that. But there's no coincidence that it's like this now. None. Okay? Now, when I showed it to you in here, and I showed it to you back in there, and I showed how it leaked up to the actual sheet that he was talking about. And the last 6, was say 606, the number of man. What is he, a man? And it hurt, because I'm talking about sing praise, and that brother, man, he had to be like 20, maybe 21 years old when he come around back down. I don't know how old he is now, but 17 years ago. 18 now, because, but I mean, and I know these particular angels because these are the same angels I used to see when I was little. One with the purple garment on it, the gold is like body that's like a flame of fire. Seeing him coming there. Seeing the Holy Spirit hovering all around that brother. And you can feel the thickness of the atmosphere. And I couldn't help but ask God, why? Because the young people nowadays, they need to see young people that would come up like he did, functioning and serving the Lord in the right way. God didn't say that he couldn't have the wealth that he had. God didn't say that. How else can you do the things that need to be done for the kingdom and for others if you don't have? That ain't what I'm getting at. I'm telling y'all to pay attention to the signs here. Go and watch that video. You said God had been talking to him about this. I'm saying that God's word is talking to me now. Now, some saying, what if all the people that sold this $600 seed take and get a blessing? Okay, would that prove me wrong? What about all the other people that have sold seeds in that way over the years that ain't nothing happened? What about the man in Vegas that I was constantly told for years about, he had did that, sold $1,000 seed because it was something he was trying to get help with, or someone he was trying to get help for. You know what I mean? What about that? All them people that got killed because he thought something he was hearing was right. Somebody was telling him was right. What about that? Are y'all going to ignore this? Now I'm going to show y'all the 24. I'm going to show it to you twice so you'll have no doubt. Okay? Now here it is. Here it is. Here it is. If you just start at Genesis chapter 3, you're going to get the 6 and you're going to get it twice. Because the 6th verse, you get the number 6. And the 6th verse got 51 words in it. 51 words breaks down to 6. So you got 2 6s right there. Right out the back, you got 2 6s. When you get to Genesis chapter 7, verse 6, okay? You got a verse again, 6. And then in there, you got 600, which if you remove the zeros, you got 2 6s. So you got 12 and 12. Here we go with that government thing again. Before Adam and Eve ate, kingdom government. After they ate, what government started rising up? Satan government. So you see, Satan government in chapter 7. You really see it in chapter 6, but you see it even more in chapter 7 when God taking and destroying, because Satan had his foot everywhere in chapter 6. I'm getting ready to show you the 24 again. So here it is. We got 4 6. That's 24. Takes us to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. What does it talk about in Matthew chapter 24? If we go to Matthew chapter 24, it talks about, we're going to go to verse 24 instead of verse 11. It mentions in verse 11 too, but it mentions it in a way that we need to understand in 24. For it says, for there shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch as that if there were possible, they would deceive the very elect. I thought you said that he was called by God and his brother. Yep, I did. Jeremiah called the prophets in there of Jerusalem, ones that had taken gave themselves over to Baal and all the rest of that stuff. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with someone that was called to be a prophet, that has took and he's operating now from out of Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 12 on down. And here's the reflection of it, what God is talking about there in Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. This shows y'all the 24. Now you're going to say, where do you get it again? Okay, now let's go back to Genesis. Chapter 3 again. Now we got the 60th. We got the 60th verse. Okay, which is 3 and 4. But you take and break that down. That's 6. You come to Genesis chapter 6. That's 6. You got 2 6s right there. Then you take and you come again right back to Genesis chapter 7, verse 6. Because you can't get away from Genesis chapter 7, verse 6, because that's where the 600 is mentioned. So here it is. You got 12 again from Genesis chapter 3, verse 4, because it's got that's the 60th verse, which breaks down to 6. And then you got the 6 again in chapter 6, where you got all the evil going on. So that's another 6. Then it brings you right back to that. And the 600, which is the flood coming. And we in that time right now, because God says Go back to Genesis chapter 24. This shows you 24 again. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 24. And here's the biggest sign of it all. Here's the biggest sign out of everything that we hear. Let's go to Genesis chapter 24, verse 6. It say, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Watch this. Wars and rumors of wars, right? For nations shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquake in diverse places. Watch out for the earthquakes. Watch out for them. Now watch this. United States, I told you a vision that I had, and this even before they started surrounding them. God, the first time he gave me vision was last year when I went to seeing them. But I just overlooked everything. Battleships in the ocean and stuff like that, and it didn't start making sense to me till recently. But here it is, United States and Venezuela, rumors of wars and so forth and so on. Got that going on right there. We got this with China, Taiwan, and now even Japan. We got this with Russia and Ukraine, and then the whole European hub. So you got the verse 6 and 7 speaking right now loudly in chapter 24. I just showed y'all the 24. Okay, got it speaking loudly. And then here it is, we get the $600 seed that takes us back to the days of Noah. And then in chapter 24, what does it says in verse 37? But as in the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Verse 38, real important. For as in the days of Noah that were before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. When did Noah enter into the ark? Read that, then I'm going to end. Let's go to chapter 7. When did Noah enter into the ark? When did Noah enter into the ark? Into the days that Noah entered the ark. Remember verse 38. To the days that Noah entered into the ark. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. 600 years old. I'm getting ready to get up off of here. And, I'm hoping that y'all hearing this. There's nothing wrong with sowing. I never speak out about giving or sowing because God's true nature and character that he put in each one of us is given. Is in us. A lot of us smother it. In the beginning, God created heavens and earth. Who did he give heaven and earth to? Gave heaven to the angels. He gave earth to us and made it where we can enter into heaven. So it was given all the way around with us. Read Genesis chapter 1. Look at all the stuff that he gave us and gave us access to heaven. To be back there with him. That's his character. Nothing wrong with giving. But when you turn it into lust, then what is you doing? You're operating from out of the spirit of Satan. The woman looked and she desired. A lot of us sow and we desire. I done been guilty of myself. Because sometimes when I listen to them, Lord, I wish I could have $1,000 seeds. What was my reason behind sowing it? Because I wanted what they said. You know what I mean? And then there's been times where I've sowed seeds, wanted to sow seeds like that, just so I can get the healing. That can be a lust too. It can be a lust too. You should always want to do that from your heart. It shouldn't be where a man or woman of God should have to always say that. That should also be in your heart to want to do. Something wrong with you too if you want to be in church, you done heard a good word, it's a good church and you don't want to give. Something wrong with you too. It's been time I've been in church and heard a good word and I see the stuff that's going on. I be wanting to give so bad and just don't have it. God understand that. But when you got in, you just fist tight, something wrong with that. That's not God's character. It's not God's character. And that's what brings so many good men and women of God down. That's why I begged and pleaded for years whenever I did a video. Don't let these good men and women of God have to take and bag y'all or take and say something that God ain't saying. All the way up to now. Last year I started having a little doubt, some stuff started happening, but all the way up to now. All the way up to now. It's a sign to me. I don't know about none of y'all, and it's just shame because when you talk about gifted and talented, oh my God, Jesus, man. I see how so many people get caught up with the brother because brother he ain't no joke in that way. It's just, the Eli's won't do right by him. And I know they're gonna be coming at me. I know because the man that back him up, I used to be crazy about him too, Bishop Lamar Gate, and I really ain't understanding about him because I was like, he another one that I was like, man, I love to go and sit up on him for a while. But you mean to tell me you seeing this and you ain't something wrong with that, man? Something wrong with it, y'all. God don't need no money. Need the money to take and do stuff. When they got ready to build the temple, people came and they gave freely from their heart. As we ought to do. So these good men and women of God don't have to do that. Then we want to pack out these huge, humongous, big churches and the little churches that's trying to take and do the right thing. We won't even go and pay them a visit. Say, okay, we know this is over here, so let's go here this Sunday. Let's ask Pastor, can we go and support so-and-so and fill his pews? Let him know that he loved. And then there's some churches that ain't got no people in them because of stuff they didn't did. So I understand that part too. But that 600 spoke to me in a whole different way. A whole different way. Did God tell me to get on here? No, he did not. Didn't speak to me in no audible voice. And didn't speak to me in a still, quiet voice. None of that. But the word spoke to me. So, and if the word ain't speaking to me no more, then I'm in trouble. And I was going to get on here and just go off into a bunch of stuff, and I never did get a chance to get into Deuteronomy. But please, understand Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. I can at least read that. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. We're gonna read 28 verse 1 and 28 verse 15. And we're gonna end with that. I ain't gonna do the whole thing. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. Why do y'all think this country is in the shambles it's in right now? It started in the church. Read Ezekiel chapter 8. It started in the church. Verse 17 tell you how it spilled out into the streets. Chapter 9 tell you that God started in his house and then moved out to the streets. Now we done read Deuteronomy 28:1. He said, hearken diligently unto his voice. Verse 15 says right here, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Just pay attention. Pay attention to how this country is being overran by certain groups of people that don't like the people here. Not all of them is bad. But anytime you got people that come from another country talking about death to America, or come over to another country, from another country to a country, and supposed to be want to blend in, and you're not blending in, but you're coming over here, scamming and stealing and doing all that kind of stuff. Come on. And people gonna even get more mad at me. The Democrats, you done have some Republicans too that didn't sold this country out. But mostly all the Democrat Party turned their back on this country in a big way. And people don't want to hear that, man. They don't want to hear that. But the truth of what it is. Nancy Pelosi and them was talking about the same thing that Donald Trump and them was doing and talking about right now. Back in 96, 93, somewhere back in there. Go back there and tell them, put some of them old videos of them when they was talking about the same thing. Putting a stop to certain stuff, tariffs and all. Go back. About the unfair trade with China and all. Go back. And then all of a sudden they stop talking. Why? So, the soul of this country. And it is started in the church. If y'all in the church don't stop with this everything, this prosperity preaching, we're gonna be in trouble. Yes, God wants us to prosper, but y'all got to stop that. Y'all running people away. Y'all destroying souls, man. Y'all destroying souls. A lot of people don't even want to go because of that. Y'all ain't even getting them a chance to have their treasure stirred up and them stirred up so they can come to church and want to give. Come on, y'all. I know evil. I did it for most of my life. This is evil, y'all. Purity, raw evil. So what? Talk about me in the lottery all you want. I ain't out there robbing nobody. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. And just give out and labor for doing for a long time. And if God's saying He's not going to let me use to bless myself, and He's speaking to me, I stop. Unlike y'all, I let it go. I ain't told nobody to go play no lottery. I just told them that He's giving us signs through it. Speaks in all kinds of ways. And as long as y'all keep on trying to put Him in a box, y'all going to miss what He's saying. And I'm going to end on that. Happy New Year's.